Ever wondered if what you see is truly what it seems? I sure did until I stumbled upon a chilling secret that left me trembling. A town much like any other, with streets lined by homes and shops where folks lived their days without a second thought. But beneath the surface lurked something sinister, something that'd make your blood run cold. It all started innocently, or so it seemed. The town had been hit by a string of robberies. Yet these weren't your run-of-the-mill thefts. No, these were meticulously planned heists that left everyone scratching their heads. The twist? The thieves weren't your typical masked burglars. They were something far more cunning. These criminals, they weren't content with just breaking and entering. No, they took it a step further. They dressed the part, donning police uniforms so convincing even the real officers had to do a double take. They'd roll up in authentic-looking cop cars, flashing badges that gleamed with authority. And just like that, they'd strike, executing their heists flawlessly under the guise of law enforcement. As you can imagine, chaos ensued. The public was in disarray. How could they trust the very protectors who were now their predators? And the real cops? Well, they were baffled, unable to decipher the intricate web these mimic men had spun. But here's where it gets eerie. The heists didn't stop at the usual targets. No, they got bolder, hitting places you'd never expect. Banks, high-security museums, you name it, they struck. And every time they vanished without a trace, leaving behind a terrified populace and a police force grasping at straws. Now, brace yourselves, cryptic lords, for the twist that'll chill you to the bone. It turned out, these mimic men weren't just impersonators. They were something far more insidious. See, among their stolen loot, there was one thing they craved above all, a particular type of mask. Not just any mask, mind you, but lifelike replicas of people in the town. Yes, they didn't just mimic cops. They mimicked citizens, their faces frozen in hauntingly accurate masks. And with each heist, they added to their collection, crafting a gallery of stolen identities. Can you imagine the horror of realizing your face could be worn by these shadowy thieves lurking in plain sight? The fear that gripped the town was palpable, an unsettling sensation that lingered long after the mimic men disappeared into the night. So next time you see a familiar face, remember, cryptic lords, it might not be who you think. After all, in this town, the line between friend and fiend was thinner than a whisper in the dark. Mimic men, the rise of criminal impersonators. Cryptic lords, let's dive deeper into the spine-tingling world of the mimic men, the rise of criminal impersonators that shook a town to its core. Imagine waking up one day to find out the very people you trusted, the ones meant to protect and serve, were nothing but clever disguises hiding dark intentions. It's the stuff of nightmares, isn't it? These mimic men weren't your average crooks. They were masters of deception. With their uncanny ability to mimic police officers, they struck fear into the hearts of everyone. They didn't just wear the uniforms. They became the law, driving around in eerily authentic cop cars, wielding authority like a weapon. The rise of these criminal impersonators wasn't just a series of robberies. It was an evolution in crime. They weren't satisfied with petty thefts. No, they aimed for the impossible, pulling off heists that left experts scratching their heads. Banks, museums, you name it, they targeted places deemed impenetrable. The scariest part? They vanished without a trace. The real cops, they were running in circles, unable to catch a glimpse of these elusive criminals. It was like they were ghosts, slipping through the cracks of the system. But here's where it gets even more chilling. Among the stolen loot, there was something far more sinister, a collection of masks. Not just any masks, mind you. These were lifelike replicas of the townspeople. Imagine seeing your own face staring back at you, worn by a criminal as a disguise. Yes, these mimic men didn't just steal money or jewels. They stole identities, leaving a community haunted by the thought that anyone they knew could be a mere imitation. The line between ally and adversary blurred, leaving everyone on edge, wondering who among them might be wearing a stolen face. And so, cryptic lords, as the town grappled with this unsettling reality, a shiver crawled down my spine. Because in a place where trust was shattered, where faces became masks for nefarious deeds, the true horror lay in not knowing who, or what, was lurking behind the familiar facades. Have you ever felt a chill crawl up your spine? That eerie sensation when you realize something's not quite right? Well, buckle up, cryptic lords, because this tale starts innocently enough, but ends in bone-chilling terror. It all began in a town much like any other, with streets bustling with life and stories hidden behind every door. But within this seemingly ordinary place, a scheme was brewing, one that'd shake the very foundation of trust. I was just a regular kid, going about my day, when whispers of something strange happening in town reached my ears. At first it was mere gossip, a robbery here, a theft there. But then the whispers grew into a haunting melody of fear. Turns out there were these cunning crooks, but they weren't your typical bandits. No, they were meticulous planners, crafting a scheme that'd send shivers down your spine. They didn't just rob, they impersonated. Can you imagine that? Pretending to be someone you're not, wearing another skin like a mask. Their weapon of choice? The guise of law enforcement. They dress as cops, talk like them, even drive those black and white cars so convincingly that even real officers did a double take. And then they'd strike, pulling off heists that left the town reeling. The townsfolk were petrified, and the real cops? They were at a loss, scratching their heads as these mimic men slipped through their fingers like ghosts in the night. But here's the part that'll make your skin crawl. Among their loot, they weren't just after riches. They craved something far more sinister. They collected masks, eerie replicas of people in the town. Faces frozen in haunting accuracy, like a twisted gallery of stolen identities. The twist? Well, brace yourselves, cryptic lords, for the final piece of this chilling puzzle. When the mimic men vanished, they didn't just disappear into thin air. No, they left behind something far more horrifying: whispers. Whispers of familiar voices echoing in the night. Whispers that made your blood run cold. For they weren't echoes of the living, but chilling imitations of those they'd stolen from. And so, as I tell you this tale, heed my warning. For in that town, behind every face you knew, there lingered a chilling uncertainty. You never knew if the voice speaking to you was truly that person or just another haunting echo in the night. Picture this, cryptic lords, a group of cunning minds devoted to perfecting the art of deceit. These mimic men weren't just criminals. They were masters of illusion, architects of a scheme that'd make reality itself blur into the unknown. I couldn't wrap my head around it at first. How could someone mimic authority so flawlessly? But as whispers spread, I learned their secret. They weren't just imitating cops, they were becoming them. Every detail, from the crisp uniforms to the official badges, meticulously crafted to deceive. But their trickery didn't stop at appearances. No, they mastered the subtle nuances, the way a cop walked, talked, even the glint in their eyes. They immersed themselves in the role, weaving a tapestry of illusion that fooled even the keenest eyes. And as their heists escalated, their illusion grew stronger. They didn't just steal, they orchestrated grand performances, leaving the town in awe and terror. The mimic men were on another level, crafting a reality that blurred the lines between truth and fiction. But here's where it gets chilling, cryptic lords. As I delved deeper into the twisted depths of their scheme, I stumbled upon a truth that sent shivers down my spine. These mimic men weren't just stealing valuables. They craved something far more unsettling, a perfect reflection of the people they impersonated. Yes, among their loot they gathered masks, not just any masks, but eerily accurate replicas of townsfolk. Faces frozen in haunting detail, like a mirror reflecting the souls of those they'd imitated. And yet, as if to solidify their chilling legacy, they left behind a final act of terror. Whispers echoed through the town after their vanishing act, whispers that sounded all too familiar. Whispers that weren't of the living but eerie imitations, leaving everyone questioning reality itself. So, as I recount this tale, remember, cryptic lords, in a world where illusion meets reality, the most bone-chilling deception might just be the one staring back at you from behind a face you think you know. Escalating heists and public panic. Cryptic lords, buckle up for the wild ride that followed, the mimic men's heists escalating like a twisted symphony of chaos. At first it was hushed whispers, a couple of robberies here and there. But then it morphed into a full-blown frenzy of fear that gripped the town in its icy claws. These mimic men weren't satisfied with simple scores. They aimed for the impossible, hitting places that seemed impregnable. Banks, museums, high-security zones, no spot was off-limits for their audacious schemes. Each heist was a masterpiece, flawlessly executed under the guise of law enforcement. And as they prowled the town, striking with precision, panic spread like wildfire. Imagine waking up to headlines screaming about yet another daring robbery, realizing the very protectors you trusted were the ones instilling terror. The public was in disarray, questioning who to trust. Fear rippled through the streets, turning neighbors into strangers and shadows into potential threats. The mimic men had achieved what they set out to do. They'd sowed the seeds of distrust, leaving the town in a state of perpetual unease. But here's where it gets even more spine-chilling, cryptic lords. It wasn't just about the loot anymore. It was about the chilling trophies they sought. Among their stolen riches, they craved something far more unsettling, a collection of masks, lifelike replicas of the townsfolk. Yes, they didn't just steal possessions. They coveted identities, freezing faces in eerie detail. And when they vanished into the night, they left behind an eerie legacy, the whispers. Whispers that echoed in the dark, whispers that felt all too real, yet were just hollow imitations, leaving everyone haunted by the ghosts of their own voices. So, as I recount these haunting events, remember, cryptic lords, in a town where panic reigns supreme, the true horror may not lie in the heists themselves, but in the chilling aftermath that lingers, where every shadow seems to hide a haunting secret. Cryptic lords, as the chaos unfolded, the frustration among the real cops grew palpable, their confusion a fog in the face of the mimic men's relentless onslaught. Picture this, a police force, sworn to protect, faced with a threat so cunning, it danced beyond their grasp. The mimic men weren't your ordinary crooks, they were a league apart. These were individuals who didn't just don the uniforms, they became the law. With every detail meticulously replicated, they struck fear into the hearts of the townsfolk, leaving the true officers scratching their heads. Imagine the frustration of those sworn to uphold the law, unable to decipher the twisted puzzle these mimic men had laid out. Their heists weren't just daring, they were feats that defied logic. Banks, high-security museums, the places they targeted seemed impregnable, yet they breached them with chilling ease. The real cops were in a bind, chasing shadows while the mimic men vanished like smoke. It was like trying to catch a phantom, a maddening game where the rules were dictated by these cunning impersonators. But here's where the chill crawls in, cryptic lords. As I dug deeper into this twisted saga, I uncovered a truth that sent a shiver down my spine. These mimic men weren't just after riches. They coveted something far more sinister, the faces of the townspeople, frozen in hauntingly accurate masks. And when the mimic men vanished into the night, they left behind a final haunting act. Whispers lingered in the darkness, whispers that sounded all too familiar yet carried an otherworldly chill, making you question every voice you heard. So, as I recount the frustration and confusion of those who sought to protect, remember, cryptic lords, in a world where the law is confounded, the true terror might not be in the heists themselves, but in the unsettling aftermath that leaves everyone grasping at shadows in the dark. Cryptic lords, as the town grappled with fear and uncertainty, I found myself diving deeper into the mystery of these mimic men. Determined to unravel their twisted plot, I followed a trail of clues that led me to a chilling revelation. Amidst the chaos and whispers, a breakthrough emerged, a clue so unnerving it made my blood run cold. It seemed the mimic men weren't just thieves, they were collectors, hoarding something far more sinister among their ill-gotten gains. These criminals weren't content with mere riches. They craved masks, eerie replicas of the townsfolk. Faces frozen in haunting detail, each a grotesque reminder of their twisted desires. As the town trembled in their wake, the real cops embarked on a pursuit, determined to unmask these malevolent impersonators. But the chase was an enigma in itself, a game of cat and mouse where the rules were set by the elusive mimic men. The pursuit led us through winding alleys and shadowed corners, each step closer to unraveling the mask that hid their true intentions. But little did we know, cryptic lords, that the most bone-chilling revelation was yet to come, a revelation that would leave us questioning the very fabric of reality itself. And then, as we closed in, as the truth seemed within our grasp, we stumbled upon a revelation that shattered our perceptions. The masks, they weren't just imitations. They held something far more sinister within. A chilling secret that sent shivers down our spines. For these masks, these lifelike replicas, weren't just faces. They were windows to something beyond comprehension. Yes, beneath those frozen expressions lay an unsettling truth, a truth that made us question everything we thought we knew. For these masks, they weren't just hollow shells. They held the souls of the townsfolk, trapped in a twisted limbo between reality and nightmare. So, cryptic lords, as I recount this chilling pursuit, remember, in a world where masks hide more than just faces, the true horror might lie in the realization that what you see may not be what it seems, a realization that leaves us all at the mercy of a nightmarish truth. Cryptic lords, the aftermath of the mimic men's terrifying escapades was nothing short of haunting. As the truth of the masks unraveled, the impact rippled through the town like a chilling wave, leaving us all grappling with a reality we couldn't comprehend. The realization that those lifelike masks held more than just a resemblance, it shook us to the core. They weren't mere imitations. They contained the essence of the townsfolk, trapped in a nightmarish limbo between existence and something far more sinister. The impact was profound. Fear gripped the town, turning once familiar faces into haunting reminders of a twisted reality. The whispers lingered in the air, echoing through the streets, a constant reminder of the horror lurking beneath the surface. But here's where it gets chilling, cryptic lords. Just when we thought we had uncovered the darkest secret, a bone-chilling twist revealed itself. The mimic men weren't just stealing identities. They were feeding off the essence trapped within those masks. Yes, they weren't just thieves. They were collectors of souls, drawing power from the trapped spirits within the eerie replicas. And as we unearthed this harrowing truth, a realization dawned, a realization that left us trembling in the face of a horror beyond comprehension. For in our pursuit to unmask the mimic men, we inadvertently unleashed something far more terrifying, a force that fed on the essence of the townsfolk, growing stronger with each stolen soul. And as I stand here, recounting these chilling events, cryptic lords, remember, in a world where masks hold more than meets the eye, the true horror may not lie in the revelation itself, but in the unwitting catalyst that unleashed a terror we couldn't hope to contain.